Dann lassen Sie uns miteinander sprechen.
Hotel Partner, your revenue management partner for optimization, success, security.
Ja, klopt, maar ze gaan allemaal losse presentaties geven.
Dat snap ik, maar met voertjes ervoor.
Does it work?
Is it okay to sit at the end? Yeah.
Hier, dat maakt mij helemaal niet uit. Ik ga gewoon hier
Okay.
zitten.
Okay, we're on. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Sorry we're a little bit late starting, I think. But we've got a really, really interesting panel discussion today. We've got some great panelists here, so we're going to be kind of talking about leaving a lasting impression through design. I've prepared some questions for the guys here, but before we start, if you'd like to introduce yourselves to everybody here.
Thank you, Jade. I'm Wessel Vreugdenhil. Working from Amsterdam, Brussels and Wrocław on development and architectural design projects. Rest...
Hi. Ik ben Maarten Jamin. We do it in English. I'm the founder of a design firm called Better Space, Better People. We are 21 people now at the moment, and we do commercial projects all over the world, especially in hospitality and offices.
Hello, my name is Hassanzadeh. I'm a partner at Concrete, design firm in Amsterdam. Only in Amsterdam, we are working globally, so always together with local architects. And we try to make the difference in hospitality, but also in other sectors.
Perfect, thank you very much. Now, Maarten, I'm going to come to you first. I know that kind of your approach to design and kind of hospitality, you work in mind keeping the better design decisions deliver greater value down the line to kind of everybody involved, including guests and hoteliers alike. Can you kind of elaborate on this approach?
I think the name of my group says it in a way, a better space, better people. We truly believe that if you create a better space, that will allow the users of that space to function better, to live better, to work better, and also the owner of the space to potentially make more money. So I think it's value added for everybody involved if we are able to make a space look better, feel better, work better.
Definitely. And kind of, I think there's a balancing act between functionality and aesthetics. And it's sometimes quite difficult to get right, especially in kind of hotels. Can you tell us kind of how to attack that and make sure that you do get the balance right?
Well, I thought it was a very interesting question because it sort of tells you or asks you that there is a difference between, or that they're not in line, functionality and aesthetics. And I think both are mutual. There is no need why aesthetics should go down if you bring functionality up or the other way around. Form follows function. So as a designer, I think as a good designer, we are able to make those things balanced and there's no difference between them.
Yeah.
So that's our philosophy.
Yeah. I think as well, kind of something what we spoke about between us, I think is kind of post-pandemic, we're seeing lots of people adopt kind of a hybrid lifestyle. And that means that people, they're working from home, but also finding places to work if they're not office-based. So can you kind of tell us a bit about how designers can accommodate these people, specifically through design in hotels, to support this rising hybrid kind of lifestyle?
Yeah, well, we do a lot of work for IWG, which is the owner of Spaces and Regis, and with that we have practice in designing hundreds of offices all over the world and experiencing how people like to work and how, especially after the pandemic, that has changed. And one of the most important things we found is that change is continuous. There's always change. So as a designer, we try to design much more in 4 dimensions, taking time on board and seeing how people's behavior changes over time. And time can be seen in many ways. Times can be seen between now and in 3 years, but also between Monday and Sunday. How can a space, or how should a space be different in those different days? And with that in mind, we try to help hospitality hotel owners, office owners, to monetize better on their properties by creating functions that can vary over time.
Okay. So how do you see, kind of, based on this then, the role of hotels changing?
I think keeping your eyes open on how things around us change, prepare for change, and I think we should all stand up together to fight legislation, because we find that a lot of things that we all would consider are not legal or not possible because of that. And it's very interesting. With concrete next to me, the designers of Citizen M, a couple of years ago, Citizen M and Spaces wanted to join forces here in Amsterdam, but we were not allowed by legislation, which I think after the pandemic that would have been a fantastic concept, where you bring work and hospitality hotels together in one building in a flexible manner. So fight the government.
So do you see that kind of office design and hotel design will be integrating?
As a designer, I think there is no difference between retail. In principle, design is necessary for everything. And as a designer, with your global and experience, wide experience, it's good to be not a specialist. So you can help both hospitality and work. And what brings those two together are the people that are using it. And as I just said before, people may want to work on Mondays and sleep in your hotel on the Tuesdays, and then look at a movie on Thursday. So yes, bring all those functions together in the places that we work in and that we own or design for.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. Now, kind of coming to you now, Wessel, I know that you've prepared some slides. So you've worked on kind of a range of projects, kind of showing really innovative design within hotels. Did you want to tell us about those?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So just you go.
Well, take your mic, but I give it back.
Yeah.
Okay, first slide. As I mentioned, we are Bunkerhotel. We're, it's everybody's. We're designers, but we are also developers. So sometimes we're standing in an empty field with our feet in the mud. There are no ideas, no clue, nothing. And from that point, we start developing. The theme of the fair here is Dreamland. So what I find very important is that we start dreaming from the beginning. And I just searched for the hardest statement about that. Reality is wrong, dreams are for real. Tupac. Sometimes it's very easy. What is the dream? In this case, this is a hotel I designed at the Architekten. It's in Croatia. It's along the shore. It's near Dubrovnik. The dream is for real. It's there. And it's almost criminal. The site is so beautiful. It's almost criminal to build there a hotel. But what we did is we kept it as quiet as possible, the architecture. Oriented all the rooms and all the spaces, lobby spaces, banqueting spaces to the water, with the biggest piece of glass we could find. And then, since this is outside, we are also, because we're working from development, it takes 5, 10, 15 years until the point that you attend this type of fair. where you have the knob on the door and the switch on for the lighting. We very rarely touch that subject, but it's still very interesting to walk around here, because I believe strongly that from the very beginning you should already start also thinking about the experience for the customers and the clients and the guests. And what is apparent here in this situation, the site is so beautiful that the interior doesn't matter. I don't know who designed it, but sorry for that. But it's the view it does all the work. This is a hotel that was opened in last summer in Rotterdam on the Ahoy area like this. So also fairs like this are there happening a lot, all types of fairs. A totally different situation from Croatia. And another point I want to make is that situational awareness, that comes from combat strategy, is very important also in our profession. Because here it was kind of very strict hotel format, eBay styles, and we also had to kind of fit in the city in another way than in Croatia. And you see beautiful architecture on the right, a hotel under construction in the middle, and Ahoy, the big, like this space, big spaces of Ahoy Conference Center. And the hotel is on the edge of one of the most beautiful parks in the Netherlands, one of the biggest city parks, Zuiderpark in Rotterdam. And also it had to blend in that. So it is a totally different strategy. And what we added to the elevation is a mirror, and that also reflects the glamour and of the conference area. If you look closer to the elevation, what we did was go really into the detail. So with the means we had, we made the most depth in the elevations, most definition. I can go back, yeah. And you see the mirrors, they reflect sky and park and everything also on the elevation. And what then in the end is important for me always is the interconnection between phases in this kind of developments, because from the first steps in the mud to urbanism, architecture and interior, I find that should be linked to the maximum, and that's why we are an open organization, always looking for interconnection and collaborations. And what is then nice is that a hotel room is often a very enclosed space, kind of it's a part of the dream, but the relation with the building you're in is also for me very important. So you get the surrealistic effect of the mirror also mirroring the other part of the park. And then in the night the lights go on, and then it's not very clear, but also important that your kind of the plinth is always very connected and open to the surroundings. I think next question is.
Well, I was just. They're great examples of kind of building upon surroundings, I suppose. So how can you take into consideration local influences but still kind of appeal to a global audience?
Yeah, that's in this case I think the challenge, because there's no this is Vreugdenhil in the east of the Netherlands. There's no place more local than this, and there's a few multinational companies like Mars, Van der Lande. Nobody knows it, but they're worldwide famous because of airport suitcase bands and stuff like that. And there's ASML in Eindhoven. They're also looking this area for also housing and but also hotel functions. And to get that together, that is, I think, your question.
Yeah.
That is incredibly difficult. We started off with designing a hotel on top of 15, it's an old factory area, on 15 concrete silos. But neighborhoods opposed to it, it was beautiful because it was 5-star, big 45 square meter rooms. Because CEO of Mars usually travels to Amsterdam to attend for the Amstel Hotel, but the client of the owner of this area said no, he should stay in Vreugdenhil. But the neighbors opposed to it, and we had to take it off. It's not going. This is not happening. But we have a very intelligent client, and he built a model on the site. And that is about strategy, how to achieve your dreams. Sometimes you have to go back to the ground, build a big model, and go there with all the neighborhoods and make it happen together. That's very important. And then from the discussions, there was a whole lot more possible. So all the orange is blocks that in a way, because of the hotel is down, we have a lot more opportunities. And in the silos, we're making new plan. And on top of this, I'll keep it brief for you guys because I can talk about this for hours. But in the silos, we have a new plan. It's somewhere down here because it's close to the people. We're now designing a park inside the silos on a level. And this level goes all the way through all the factory area and we're kind of making design structures that are kind of connected to the ground. So this is a huge staircase where people can go up. And in the end, this will also be a green area. And in this fact, and there's a new icon. And also, the hotel on top of the silos was monofunctional. It was 120 rooms, best facilities possible. And now we're designing a building where it's work, museum, restorative function, food and beverage, and long stay, short stay, and hotel rooms. So that's even more interesting to also, because Maarten, you were talking about that you start to mix these programs in one in building or neighborhoods. With that, I want to end. So thank you for this, for the slides.
Thank you very much, Wessel. So what advice would you...
This is the advice quote of Walt Disney. If you can visualize it, if you can dream it, there's some way to do it.
So that's the advice you'd give to kind of aspiring designers in hospitality to really make a splash amongst guests, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much. So moving on to you, Lisa. Let's sit down. Now that's done. So I'm just interested to hear kind of what trends you see really shaping the future of hospitality design.
It's already a while ago, but I think the COVID just brought some things which are quite interesting. And one of the things, obviously, is that people like to work from home. Mm-hmm. For a hotel, this would mean it should feel as a home. Mm-hmm. So how can you get this residential feel while being an efficient hotel in it? That's one. But luckily, there's also another, let's say, stream who does not want to work at home, but see the benefit of analog meetings, of being together in real, having real discussions and not only digital. So, and there the public spaces of a hotel come in place where exactly this can happen with a ever-changing audience. And what we always try to do is actually create spaces which engage human interaction, and if possible, an analog one. And then you always have your hotel room, which can be the cocoon, as we did in Zoku, where you can actually work perfectly and even live there for up to a year. So I think extended stay, so staying in a hotel, or how you want to name it, between 1 day and probably a year, being a real competitor competition to Airbnb. Can I have the water? Sorry. I think that's something we should all be aware of.
Absolutely. So making guests feel like they're at home. And how do you, we're seeing now lots of introduction of kind of multi-sensory design. How can hoteliers get the most out of this multi-sensory design to really kind of leave a lasting impression on guests who visit the hotel?
Yeah, I mean, multisensory is of course all your senses. It's in the word,
Yes.
and it's not only what you see, but it's also what you hear with the music and what you smell. A lot of hotels have perfumes now. For Citizen M, we created a perfume. I mean, not we, but perfume makers, of course. But for Zoku, it's the sense of optimism, which is really, really beautiful. So that you really recognize something, and it's really long-lasting. And if you smell that in a different context, you're completely remembered to the space. I think this is one, but also a feeling. It's also who is greeting you when you're coming into a hotel. Are you greeted at all? How's your first impression? How's your last impression? That's why check-in, check-out shouldn't be that dominant, but a person who smiles at you and feels sorry that you're leaving and is very happy that you're coming in.
Yeah. So how can fostering a narrative within a hotel really kind of make a guest stay really, really memorable? If they're kind of telling a story, tell us about that.
Well, so we really believe in the power of storytelling, and it's of course nothing we invented. I mean, storytelling is as old as human beings. It's actually what keeps the world, let's say, moving a little bit, at least the human world. I think all negative things, wars, started with storytelling, but also the positive ones. So let's try to make a positive narrative on all the spaces we are creating, and that's actually not only valid to hospitality. So I think a storytelling makes it possible to remember not only you as an individual, but also a collective remembrance to a space and to something you want to lead to. So if a space has a message or a hotel has a message on sustainability, it's a story which will be told further than only this very moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just delving into kind of concrete as a brand, I've got here that you want the best answers, not the easiest solution, and that is your kind of approach to hospitality design. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think Citizen M is probably the best example in this because it was so pure in its form, finding a solution to a problem which we saw. Mm-hmm. It's something, how does a business traveler wants to travel, and then I'm talking about 2004, when affordable luxury had not a name yet. But we were traveling ourselves, and we were, let's say, spoiled enough that we really wanted to have a soft bed and a perfect shower. But then you are ending up in a 5-star hotel, and you're having all this stuff, and you are paying for all this stuff you don't need and you don't have time to use. So that's where the idea of Citizen M was born, and which obviously, as everyone knows, developed further into a worldwide brand.
I know that we spoke a bit about kind of the idea that form follows life, and it's often associated with architecture and design, suggesting that the shape and function of objects, buildings or systems should be primarily determined by their intended use or purpose. So can you tell us your thoughts kind of on how this applies to hotel design and maybe a bit about your experience of this?
So it's of course at the end all about human needs. So what spaces are built for human needs and to fulfill these. And hospitality is actually in the very essence nothing else than the way how we treat each other. And treating each other can be how we behave to each other, but it's also the way how we offer spaces to each other. And if these are anonymous spaces, and if they are cold spaces, and if they're spaces which doesn't inspire you, then you end up with people who are exactly that. And I think that's why we should keep in mind that whatever we are building should follow the life or creating life. Huh? I mean, it can also be vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're kind of the questions that I'd prepared for you, but I know that you did put some slides together, so feel free to elaborate on these if you wanted to.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah?
So it's not related to the questions, but actually what I prepared a little bit. How does that work?
I think just the green one. Yeah,
It's a short, let's call it lecture. It's supposed to be 10 minutes, but I think it will be longer, about our office. And Via Concrete, we are situated in Amsterdam, in this beautiful house in the canals in the red light district. Very inspiring neighborhood at the moment, 45 ambitious people, 18 nationalities, all very different and multidisciplinary, so architects, interior architects, visual marketeers, and we all try together to make the difference. We live, let's say, hospitality also in our office. We have a cook or several cooks who are cooking for us every day. It sounds very spoiled. It is very spoiled, but it also are the moments where creativity happens. So I think if you want to understand hospitality, you have to go the full length, and so we celebrate that in the office as well. And it gives us the feeling of being one family and sharing quite a lot of hours of our life together each and every day, because we are not working remote. We are all in the office every day, and so we know each other very, very, very well. And we truly believe if form follows life, then hospitality emerges out of it, because hospitality is the way how we treat each other. And I just put together some examples of hospitality and how far this can go, and how hospitality can also inspire other sectors and work. One very obvious, what we did several times, and I think is very obvious for most of you, is hospitality and lifestyle luxury. First, there is the money to make hospitality and the audience who embraces it. We were lucky to get the assignment to bring the first W Hotel to Japan, which was in Osaka, and we really much felt that this quite superficial American brand should be much more mature in Japan. And what we created is actually a high-rise. We didn't do the architecture, only the interior, and the hotel is on the upper levels, as you can find that more often in Asia. And on the ground floor, we established, let's say, a tunnel of which imitates or is a homage on the Japanese cherry blossom season, which can change colors and brings you into the lobby where you can go up to the upper spaces. Again, an homage on the origami you find in Japan, so very subtle in W terms, but still very much their cocktail culture, what they have in mind. The lobby itself, Osaka is a quite gray city. During the day, at night, it becomes marvelous with all the lights and signs and lanterns. And we used this notion in the hotel as well, because we like, if guests come only to the hotel, don't have time to leave it, that you still have a sense of the place you are in. So we placed all these illumination things and on the ceiling, but dropped the colors to the ground. In the hotel, we did, of course, all the spaces, but one of them was the restaurant. And what was really nice with that one is that we were able to do everything. So not only the interior, but also the identity. That's what we are doing a lot of times in our office. We also came up with a name. It's a French restaurant, so we called it Oh La La. And that's the identity and styling and house style, which comes with that. Very much fun to do. And then in a more mature W way, let's say James Turrell meets W swimming pool, where you can also lay down at night, have a cocktail, and where functions merge. The room in the upper spaces, great view above Osaka. We played with, let's say, subtle Japanese element like the rice paper walls, but also with more bold ones, like the strips. And we gave every room a real bar instead of a mini bar, so that you can enjoy the view with a glass of beer or cocktail, and you can also work. The suites, more Japanese, more subtle, with a mix with W elements like a bathtub, which it's actually a champagne holder. Wow. And then, of course, filled with life. In this case, luxury lifestyle. It's press events. weddings, of course, but also people who just enjoy their weekend over there. But if you go further in hospitality, something else we created, what I just mentioned, is Citizen M, which is the other end of the spectrum, probably, affordable luxury. It started at the other end of the spectrum, but is at the moment really a competitor to luxury lifestyle. So actually, it became a luxury lifestyle hotel in an affordable price, competing with Hilton and so forth, but very much away in the mindset. It's placed in the size of a sea container, can be modularly built. At the moment, this module is always 2 rooms with a piece of corridor in between. Building construction time very short. The room very minimal, but as I said before, the 2 by 2 meter bed, very soft, very flushy. A perfect shower, and everything else actually you're finding downstairs in the public spaces where hotel guests are invited, but also locals. So you find a lot of people just working there from the streets with their laptops, so locals and hotel guests will mingle. With the Citizen M, we do all the interiors, all the buildings as well. And in the latest one in Miami, you can see that it really became a competitor to a lifestyle brand as well. So it has a journey of being an affordable sleeping machine, let's say, to a lifestyle product, if you want. We are part of the DNA of Citizen M, still making sure that the brand is not dying, but it's a living brand. And the life which is there. I don't know how much time I have, but you can stop me whenever you want. Hospitality at sea. We got the possibility to work with Virgin Voyages on their new cruise ships, or their first cruise ships they did. They put together a bunch full of designers. They asked us, did you ever design a cruise? And we said no. They said, perfect, then you are in. And actually with this naivism we had of not having any idea of how to build a ship, we were able to design the upper decks and to restaurants, and we even asked them to change the blueprint of the ship. We added this running track to it. We added this pavilion without knowing what this means to a ship. When the technical engineers explained me what this means, I almost fainted. But at the end, they did it because they were in love with that dream, and they just built it. And at the moment, there are 4 of them floating somewhere on the oceans. That is one restaurant on the ship, so they don't have all you can eat. They only have restaurants where you have a set menu, so there is not a lot of waste when it comes to food. What we proposed here is actually with what they call test kitchen. It's a molecular, let's say, restaurant, very, very high-end, very experimental. And on the other side of the spectrum, this is something what we love, by the way, very low culture, if you want, a vegan snack bar on the boat, where the budget was so low that we only worked with graphics, as you can see. Okay. I'm getting more serious in hospitality. What I just mentioned in our discussion, extended stay, as an answer also to Airbnb, that's so cool. It's probably was one of the first, let's say, hotel products, if you want, where the bed is not in the center of the room, but a table which invites to have dinner, to work, to invite guests, and the bed is tucked away, let's say, above with a staircase which we can slide away. And recently we also developed so-called rooms, which are probably more in the direction of our hotel rooms, because they also have quite some guests which only stay a night. But still, you get a little house instead of a hotel room. And then the public spaces, which have some check-in counters, as you can see here, but actually you are entering a living environment where you can put out your shoes if you want and start feeling at home. The residents are actually very much part of the program, which is perfectly curated by Soko. So they are very community-driven, very program-driven, and the interiors we are doing would be worth nothing without their effort. And a living kitchen where, of course, you have dinner, breakfast, lunch, but residents can also take part of it if they want to. in cooking lessons and so forth. And of course, co-working is happening there as well. And in Paris, we could even do a rooftop terrace, which is really, really nice. But then we took hospitality and whatever we learned further, and we started doing some housing in the US. So we never did housing in the Netherlands or in Europe, but we started in the US a brand which is called Urbi, together, of course, with a client. And the first thing he asked is actually whether we can think of a small apartment. In his eyes, it was really small. He thought about 45 to 60 square meters. For us, it was a perfect apartment, but for American standard, it was quite small. And his dream was to make rental housing not more than, let's say, 5-6 steps, public transport stops away from Manhattan. And we developed at the end a brand with him, which is called Urbi. It started, as I said, with the apartment itself, and then we got the assignment and we stuck them to a tower just on the other side of the Hudson River, and now we are building the other two. But most important on these, because that's a tremendous amount of apartments, of course, is the human scale to it. So you are starting always in a house, so the entrance is a house, and instead of a doorman, you have a cafe, and a person there who is welcoming you, and you feel at home. Of course, there's somewhere a shortcut if you really don't want to bump into someone if you're going at home, but normally you're entering your house, you're in this social life. We created, of course, communal spaces as a pool, a gym, and so forth, but also these little pocket gardens where you can meet other neighbors. Harrison, which is a little bit further away with the path, we had 3 building blocks, so it's low-rise, not high-rise. Again, you enter Urbi through the cafe and with the house shape, recognizable. And then if you come into the inner courtyard, you have the share amenities, the pool, the gardens, the urban farming, the gym building. We have musicians in residence, we have artists in residence. So also this is programmed living. It's only 2 more.
Okay.
Then I'm done. But then recently we decided to enter the Dutch market, since there are obviously quite some problems, and we would like to be part of the solution. And we are approached by a startup, and to think with them about how to revolutionize, let's say, the housing market in the Netherlands. And they are called Middle of Our Street, and if you, the shortcut of that is MOS, which is a name, so it's personalized again. And actually, that's social housing, which is not only social, but also circular and modular. So we used the knowledge we gained in Citizen M, obviously, and transferred them to the housing market. So a house always consists of these 2 blocks, one with the kitchen, the bedroom, and the bathroom, and one with the living room, but you could also get another one, a third one, to have a bigger house, or the house can also shrink. They are completely modular, but they are also circular, so they are made out of recycled concrete. There is no glue in these buildings. They can be dismantled 100% completely in all the materials. If you would destruct that, go back to the manufacturer. So they are taking back the concrete, they're taking back the wood, they're taking back the kitchens, everything, and they can get a new life. So it's 100% circular, which makes it complicated, of course, and flexible, of course, as well. That's the model lab home we did next to the MOS office, and that's how we envisioned the social life which can occur over there. The first site which has been built is in Euterpe in Maasland, next to Rotterdam. These were our visuals, our dream, let's say, and then these had been built, that's probably half a year ago, and now we are here. The first houses are built, the first habitants are moved in, the landscape still, of course, has to come, but the feedback we got is really, really positive, and we hope we can build many more and come and try to make the difference here as well.
Amazing. Sorry, Lisa, I just have to interject because we've only got a few minutes left, and I would love to open it up to the floor to see if anybody has got any questions for our panelists before we kind of finish up here. Yes. Is somebody in the audience? Yeah. Oh.
Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Cormac from Arrow Digital Strategy. Really great presentation. Quick question for the floor, but Lisa as well in particular. If you were to summarize luxury in like 1 or 2 sentences, what would you say?
Well, I think luxury is time, and that you can spend your time in the way you want to do that. And if this is online, it's online. If it's offline, you should have the possibility to switch everything off. So I'm personally dreaming always of an offline button somewhere in my room to be completely disconnected. I think this is what it's about. So how do people want to live? This is getting more and more diverse, and we should get answers to these.
Any more?
Yes, hello. If you mentioned circular and that they can take things back, like how does it work? Do they get a fee when they give things back? Like, is the take-back system already in place?
It's part of the contract.
Yeah.
So they have a contract to deliver, for example, the kitchens, to deliver all the kitchens for Mo's. Mm-hmm. So they are assured all the Mo's are to come. They are delivering the kitchens, but in the contract is also, if you break it down, you are taking the kitchen back, and you make sure that you recycle them or reuse them in another project.
Yeah, okay. It's not that's a kind of warrant or guarantee that you...
No, but they are a long life partner.
Yeah,
so
okay.
They are part of the Mo's partnership.
Yeah. Okay, it's a bigger system. Thank you.
Well, if nobody else has got any questions, then I think that brings us to the end of the panel discussion. I'd just like to thank the 3 of you for joining me today. It's been a really, really insightful presentation, so thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.